Well, to the shock and horror of all its fans, yes, it's sad to have to admit it. The Acolyte has been canceled. I know people are going to be freaking out over this. How could you cancel this show? It was so good. It was so amazing. And I understand how hard it must be, but truly, I feel like both of you can get over it. Okay, with all jokes aside, Star Wars has been a franchise that's really polarized people. People are really loving some of the stuff, really hating all of it. It's divided all the fans. And it's kind of interesting to see a show like this has kind of unified everyone in agreeing that it's terrible. And I'll admit it. I didn't mind the first two episodes. I actually thought there was something good that was building off from it. But there were a lot of problems with it that I thought if they didn't fix, then it was going to ruin the show. And then episode 3 came out, and I was thinking, okay, they're not fixing any of the problems. It's still kind of bad. And then episode 4 came out, and I heard that was terrible. And I just decided, you know what? Just not going to waste my time with this. Just not going to watch something that I truly hate. And so that's it. I've only seen the first 3 episodes, but from what it looks like, the show goes really downhill really fast. And it sucks because this is a time when we need something to unify the fans of Star Wars together. There's so much division between the community, and there just needs to be finally the film or TV show that everyone agrees on and everyone loves. And The Acolyte just was not that show. I'm really curious where Star Wars is going from this because the problem is that it's cool to see all this backstory behind the prequels, and there's going to be stories about like the first Jedi and stuff like that, like ancient stories about Star Wars and everything, and that's all really cool. However, that's not what we need. We don't need to go backwards in time. I think it's time to eventually try to think about when it's the right time to do the next episode. Now, I'm not saying that time is anytime soon. I don't believe that they should be making episode 10 anytime soon because there's still a lot of work that they need to do. And so I think they're a long ways away from doing it. However, they need to start thinking about it. The ideas need to start to be created because right now, all these movies and everything are just not working. And if they want to finally unify the fan base again, I really do think it's getting to the point where I'm starting to wonder when we should get an episode 10. It also just kind of hurts me to see this is the state that Star Wars is in. Shows like The Acolyte are getting made, and I think Star Wars deserves so much better than this because genuinely, Star Wars is one of the greatest things to ever happen to the movie industry. And there's so much things that you can do with this universe, such just an infinite ideas, and they're just wasting it. And I just feel like every year that goes by, the Star Wars franchise is not getting any better, and I genuinely wonder if they keep on making movies like this, if these other movies by Taika Waititi, Ryan Johnson, all of them, if they're not good, genuinely, how much more does Star Wars have left in the tank? Now, yes, that's a bit premature of me to say. It's probably way, way, way too early to be talking about if Star Wars is starting to just become a dead franchise, and I don't believe it ever will be. But I believe if they keep on making terrible movies like this, if the Mandalorian movie isn't good, if if these other movies aren't any good at all, genuinely there starts to become a question as to how much more legs do these movies have until the point where we really need to just reconsider what's going on with Star Wars and start to ask ourselves, are these movies really being worth getting made? It is a very bleak thing to be talking about. I admit it. It's very bleak to be talking about a franchise that's this good to be in such a terrible state, but that's what state that Star Wars is in right now. It's not in a good state at all, and I genuinely am starting to be concerned about How much more bad movies can this community take before it's just finally people are just done with it and just nobody wants to watch anything Star Wars anymore? And it's a terrible thing to be talking about. It really sucks because of how much Star Wars is to so many generations. I like your grandparents, your parents, and then you could all be just the biggest fans of Star Wars. It's one of the things that so many generations can all be connected through Star Wars. And it's insane to think that this is what the state of the franchise is in. I want things to get better. I really do. But you gotta realistically look at this. You gotta realistically think about if you keep on making bad movies, what do you do? Do you just completely restart from scratch, fire everyone, start from the ground up and continue from there? Do you sell off Lucasfilms? I mean, that's an insane thing to think about. And once I say it out loud, I'm realizing just how impossible that would be. But still, the point stands. You gotta do something drastic. If you keep on making these terrible films, you gotta think that at some point, you gotta realize that you yourself are the problem. I'm talking about in terms of the studio, not the fans or anyone that's watching this video. The studio itself might just end up being the problem. And I'm not saying we're at that point yet, but I'm saying if these next few films and TV shows are bad, then that's what people should be asking. People should be asking if Disney should just get rid of this, just completely restart from scratch. And we're not at that point yet. I still have faith that Disney could find a way. But man, it is getting harder and harder by the day to believe that that can actually be the case. But I mean, what do you think of the situation? I mean, do you agree with me, disagree with me? I mean, I want to hear all your comments down below. I want to get into a conversation about Star Wars. I mean, if I'm completely wrong about everything that I've said, I want to hear about it because I think this is still slowly starting to become a conversation that we need to have. But that's really all I have to say. Star Wars is in a terrible situation right now, especially after The Acolyte has been canceled. Not because it's been canceled, but because it's an actual show that got made. And I think that it's a thing that we just gotta wait day by day, just see what happens. Go from movie to movie, TV show to TV show. Let's just go by film, and if we get to the point where we need to have that conversation, I'll have that conversation years from now. But I mean, until then, it's movie talk. See ya.